Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. First in from West Asia, the headquarters of the Turkish aerospace industries near Ankara came under attack. 2 armed assailants killed at least 5 people and injured at least 22 others. According to the country's interior minister, the attackers were killed in combat, and the Turkish government has labeled the violence as a terrorist attack. Meanwhile, Turkey has blamed the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party, or the PKK, for the attack. Turkey carried out airstrikes hitting 32 PKK targets in northern Iraq and Syria. The Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces said at least 12 civilians were killed. According to Turkey Defense Ministry, the strike killed multiple members of the party. And now to the conflict in West Asia. Israel continues to pound Lebanon. During the overnight strikes, a huge explosion rocked Beirut's southern suburbs, Tyre. Now, Israeli forces said that they struck several Hezbollah weapons production facilities. Meanwhile, in historic Lebanese city of Tyre, health authorities said at least 20 people were killed in fresh Israeli strikes. Meanwhile, the Hezbollah group rained rockets on Israel's northern parts. Multiple interceptions were seen over Israeli towns and cities. Israel's military said a total of 55 rockets were fired in 3 batches from Lebanon. Hezbollah also said it struck a defense firm in the suburbs of Tel Aviv. The group further added that its rockets hit the target accurately. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Qatar to push for Gaza peace talks. He is scheduled to meet Qatar's Emir and Prime Minister for assessing Hamas's stand on a truce. Blinken earlier met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem. This marks Blinken's 11th visit to West Asia since the Israel-Hamas war broke out in October last year. In North America, early voting is underway for the U.S. presidential elections. Tim Walz, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, voted in the U.S. state of Minnesota. He cast his ballot alongside his family in the Ramsey County. Polls indicate a cutthroat competition between the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and her Republican rival and former President Donald Trump for the race to the White House. In Canada, Justin Trudeau is facing pressure from his party to resign. Reports indicate that 24 out of 153 Liberal lawmaker MPs have called for Canadian Prime Minister to step down by the 28th of October. The MPs voiced their discontent during a recent closed-door meeting. Canada is gearing up for federal elections scheduled on or before October of 2025. And in Europe, operations at the UK's Birmingham airport were partially shut after a bomb scare. A suspicious vehicle at the airport sounded an alarm yesterday. Passengers were evacuated and a temporary suspension of all departing flights was announced. Flight services are now gradually returning to normal. The U.S. claims the presence of North Korean troops in Russia amidst its war with Ukraine. According to the U.S., at least 3,000 North Korean troops were transported to the eastern Russian city of Vladivostok in October. These troops were allegedly taken to multiple military sites for training. The U.S. says they have evidence to back the claims. Both Russia and North Korea have denied the charge. The U.S. and South Korean militaries conducted joint air drills. The exercise aimed to diversify wartime transportation. It started on the 21st of October and continued for 3 days. The military drills come amid escalating inter-Korean hostilities. Recently, North Korea cut off road and railway links connecting to the south. In South Asia, Bangladesh's government has declared the student wing of the Awami League Party a terrorist organization. Awami League belongs to the exiled leader Sheikh Hasina. The group named Bangladesh Charter League has been suspended under anti-terror law. The group is accused of involvement in murder, rape, torture, and terrorism after the violence in July. In Bolivia, transport workers blocked the streets of La Paz, calling for 24-hour vehicular traffic shutdown. The blockade was in protest of the ongoing fuel shortages. The fuel crisis has led to long queues at gas stations in the city. The government has blamed the fuel crisis on road blockades staged by supporters of former President Evo Morales. His supporters are demanding an end to a probe of the ex-president. And riots continued for the second day on the outskirts of Lisbon in Amadora city. The unrest comes after a black man died in police shooting. The 41-year-old victim was shot dead on the 21st of October. Angry rioters have since then taken to the streets in protest of the incident. At least 3 people have been detained, with 2 police officers injured. Moving on to climate news now. Cyclone Dana is set to make landfall in East Indian states of Odisha and West Bengal. Now ahead of the landfall, strong winds and heavy rains have lashed parts of the states, triggering evacuations. Schools and colleges are shut in both states. Hundreds of trains have been cancelled. In Bhubaneswar, airport authorities have suspended operations for 16 hours. And severe tropical storm Trami has devastated the northeastern Philippines. The storm killed at least 24 people and triggered widespread flooding and landslides. The floodwater has also isolated several towns and villages. Trami dumped 2 months' worth of rain in just 24 hours. It has impacted over 2 million people, with more than 75,000 displaced. In the United Arab Emirates, citizens witnessed a dust tornado-like storm in Sharjah. An eyewitness video showed a column of dust towering over some vehicles. The video also showed bolts of lightning striking the ground. Brazilian street artist Mandano's new work raises awareness over deforestation. In his latest work in Sao Paulo, he used ash from forest fires and mud from flooding in Brazil. He created a giant mural pleading to stop deforestation. The work specifically targets the U.S. grain trader Cargill Inc., urging it to remove deforestation from its supply chain. And climate change is affecting the butterflies of Greece. The European nation has the largest population of some 237 butterfly species in the continent. Scientists warn that climate change-linked warmer temperatures pose a threat to these creatures. Rising mercury makes food scarcer and flowering periods shorter. Experts also suspect that butterflies could be getting smaller in size. New York City has got a new green school added to one of its blocks. The school is in the process of being certified to meet the International Passive House Standard for Energy Efficiency. The school is 70 to 75% more efficient than a conventional building in terms of energy use. And in Germany, a farmer couple is planning to manufacture e-tractors. The vehicle will cut down the cost of production for farmers who usually depend on diesel-run tractors. It will be able to generate electricity and will be more environmentally friendly. And on to business and tech news. The U.S. workers of plane maker Boeing have rejected a new wage offer. The union, representing about 33,000 workers, voted to reject the wage contract. The plane maker had proposed a 35% pay rise over the next 4 years. However, it did not include a pension plan, which the workers were demanding. Now Boeing workers will continue their strike, which has been going on for over a month. Meanwhile, the workers' strike, along with slow production, has financially battered Boeing. The plane maker reported a loss of over $6.2 billion in the third quarter of this year. Its revenue also declined by about 1.4% between July and September. Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg says that the company needs a fundamental cultural change. He has also called for a reset in management's relationship with the workers. And Boeing workers' strike has also hit the supplier Spirit Aerosystems. The aircraft structures producers losses more than double during the third quarter. Now, Aerosystems has reported a loss of $477 million between July and September of this year. Spirit Aerosystems has also announced its plan to merge with Boeing. Now, Spirit Aerosystems CEO says that they are on track to be acquired by Boeing before the year end. Electric car giant Tesla has also reported its third quarter results. The Elon Musk-led firm posted a profit surge of about 17% between July and September this year. The firm also sold over 6% more cars in the third quarter compared to the same period last year. Elon Musk said that they expect 20 to 30% sales growth in 2025, and he also announced that Tesla is on track to start production of a new car model early next year. And Chinese self-driving startup WeRide has filed for a $119 million initial public offering in the US. The Guangzhou-based company is incorporated in the Cayman Islands. It has been providing robot taxi services in China since 2019. Analysts expect WeRide's IPO to be the largest by a Chinese company since 2021. And the World Bank and the Inter-American Development Bank will provide $8.8 billion to Argentina. The financing is to help the country ramp up social spending on areas like education, transportation, and electricity costs. The announcement came after a meeting between the lenders and Argentina's economy minister. And Taiwan's chip giant TSMC has reportedly halted shipments to one of its clients. This after they discovered that the client was potentially supplying them to China's Huawei. The move likely violated the U.S. export sanctions. The U.S. has barred American firms from selling advanced chips to smartphone maker Huawei. TSMC's decision comes after its chips were reportedly found in a Huawei product. And South Korean chipmaker SK Hynix has reported strong growth in the third quarter of this year. The firm saw its revenue surge by a whopping 94% to $12.7 billion between July and September. SK Hynix is a major supplier to graphics processor maker NVIDIA. It manufactures memory chips for the GPUs that power artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, American tech firm IBM has reported a 1.5% rise in revenue for the third quarter. The firm also narrowed its loss to $330 million from $1.7 billion in the previous year. During the quarter, IBM's software business saw solid growth. However, its consulting business lagged behind. A U.S. woman has sued Google and its artificial intelligence unit, Character AI. She claims that her son committed suicide after interacting with a chatbot made by Character AI. The 14-year-old boy from the U.S. state of Florida died by suicide in February. The lawsuit alleges that the chatbot encouraged the teen's suicidal thoughts. And moving on to sports news, and we start with cricket. Sri Lanka beat West Indies by 5 wickets in the second of their 3-match one-day international series. The match started off late due to rain and was reduced to 44 overs. Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to field first. West Indies posted 189 runs in the first innings. Wanindu Hasaranga of Sri Lanka picked up 4 wickets. The informed captain, Tyre smashed an unbeaten 62 runs to help Sri Lanka chase the target. And Zimbabwe's men's cricket team have set a T20 international record. They scored 344 runs with 4 wickets against Gambia. This is the highest runs scored in the history of men's T20I format. Sikandar Raza made a major contribution with an unbeaten 133 runs off just 43 balls. Zimbabwe won the match against Gambia by a whopping 290 runs. And reports say that Indian Premier League franchise Lucknow Super Giants have decided to release KL Rahul for the upcoming edition of the tournament. The wicket-keeper batter has been with the franchise since its inception in 2022. Despite leading LSG to playoffs twice in 3 seasons, Rahul's dip in form has had reportedly forced the management to release him. And in football, Manchester City thrashed Sparta League 5-0 in a Champions League match. The star of the match was Norwegian striker Erling Haaland. Now, Phil Foden, John Stones and Matheus Nunes also scored goals. The win helped Man City ensure their unbeaten run to a record 26 games in the competition. And Barcelona beat Bayern Munich 4-1 in a UEFA Champions League match. 3 of Barca's goals came from winger Rafinha, and Robert Lewandowski also put his name on the scoreboard. His goal came in the 36th minute, and Bayern Munich's only goal scorer was England's star Harry Kane. Clashes erupted between Barcelona supporter fans and police in Spain. Barca fans were protesting over a match of their team being held outside Spain. Reports say Barcelona's La Liga fixture against Atletico Madrid would be held in the United States. The scuffle erupted after Barcelona's team arrived at the Luis Company Stadium for their match against Bayern Munich. And reports say Japan has expressed interest in hosting the 2031 FIFA Women's World Cup. Japan's football chief wants to see women's football rise in the country. However, securing the hosting rights would be tough for Japan. It would face stiff competition from the US and Mexico. Both of them are expected to submit a joint bid to host the tournament. And in tennis, men's world number 4 Novak Djokovic withdraws from the Paris Masters. The tournament is slated to start next week. Djokovic shared the news to fans on Instagram. The 24-time Grand Slam champion has had a tumultuous season. He hasn't won a single Grand Slam in 2024. And men's world number 3, Alexander Zverev, has advanced to the quarterfinals of the Vienna Open. The German saw off Marcos Giron of the US in straight sets. Zverev downed his opponent 6-2, 7-5, and he next faces Italy's Lorenzo Musetti in the quarters. And summing it up with the basketball, the 2024 NBA season began with Boston Celtics starting their title defense by beating New York Knicks 132-109. Jason Tatum scored 37 points for the Celtics. In a separate match, the Los Angeles Lakers registered a narrow win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, and LeBron James scored 16 points to take the Lakers to a 110-103 win over the Timberwolves. And in entertainment news, legal troubles continue to mount for rapper Sean Combs. In the latest, a new sexual assault lawsuit has been filed against the rapper. This case has high-profile names including Nicki Minaj, Lil' Kim, and Mary J. Blige. They were reportedly present at the rapper's party in 2014. However, the case reportedly doesn't mention that the others were present during the time of the incident. Meanwhile, the children of rapper Sean Combs defend the rapper amid charges of sexual assault and racketeering against him. The rapper's 6 children released a statement stating that they all stand united and support their father. The rapper is currently in jail. And rapper Cardi B was rushed to hospital after a medical emergency. Following this, she cancelled one of her Music Fest performances in the US. In a social media post, the rapper said it breaks her heart that she cannot perform and meet her fans. Late singer Liam Payne's girlfriend is completely devastated about her partner's passing away. Kate Cassidy revealed on social media that they were planning on getting married next year. She wrote, and I quote, "I can't wrap my head around this new reality of not having you here." Singer Liam Payne passed away last week in Argentina after falling from his hotel balcony. According to reports, Disney is in talks with Chris Hemsworth for the role of Prince Charming. The studio is making a film on the character of Prince Charming, who has been seen in films like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and Cinderella. The film will be helmed by Wonka director Paul King. And Virgin River has been renewed for a season 7 on Netflix. It is based on the series of the novel by Robin Carr. She follows the life of the residents in North California, and the news comes 2 months ahead of the show's season 6 set to premiere. And this is going to be debuted in 2019. Now, the black dress of Alfalba's character in the film Wicked was inspired by the gills of mushrooms. The designer, Paul Tazewell, was Indian actor Sonam Kapoor has been named Dior's new brand ambassador. She will serve as the ambassador for the collections by creative director Maria Graziatori. Now, this move is being touted as the French fashion house's bid to grow in India. Kapoor is currently on a sabbatical from work after her son's birth in 2022. French and Polish director Roman Polanski will no longer face a trial against an alleged assault of a minor. According to his lawyer, he has now settled the case and it has been formally dismissed. The incident allegedly happened in 1973 when the victim was 13 years old. Polanski allegedly made her drink alcohol and then forced himself on her. And finally, American actor Ron Ely has passed away at the age of 86. His death was confirmed by his daughter, who stated that she is at comfort because her father is now with her mother and brother in heaven. Ely was known for playing the role of the jungle hero Tarzan. The show ran from 1966 to 1968. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.